sister. Yes, amen, sister. Steven, teaching a mastery week on entrepreneurship. What are you most excited about?
Well, I think one of the things that really strikes me with MEA is the ability to take something that you thought was common, that you thought everybody had, and turn it into gold. And that's why we're going to talk about alchemy and the alchemy of living and how to take what you have from the moment that you're kind of at MEA, and exactly what Justin said, which is turn the impossible to the possible and to really bring it to the surface. So we're going to polish some gold stones and see what everybody has.
Ooh. Okay, great. All right. Are you guys fired up? So exciting. All right. So I'm going to start with Justin. We're going to spend a little bit of time together, and then we'll spend time with Kathy and then with Steven. So let's talk about, I think what I've loved so much about you, Justin, is that you are very unusual, that you had such a clear purpose and a mission to focus on your own personal transformation, and that you have allowed yourself to open up the possibility of transformation in writing, in publishing a book, in transformation in singing and composing, Grammy nominated for this year. I mean, oh my gosh, Grammy nomination for Believe. Like, we were dying following you at the Grammys on your mom's birthday, just cheering you on. And you do coaching, and you are just a role model. And that I love that you have brought all of those different expressions of yourself forward, and that they're all committed to helping other people transform themselves, which to me is really, really, really rare. Those of you who don't know Justin, let me just do a quick bio about you, and then I'd love to hear you just riff with me about that. So from growing up with gunshot holes outside his bedroom window to sharing the stage with Marianne Williamson, Deepak Chopra, Justin Michael Williams knows well the power of healing to overcome. This dynamic millennial who grew up marginalized in almost every way, teaches meditation as a means of self-empowerment to those who need it. But he's not your grandma's guru. He has shown others how to break free from the past and to take action to create a new future. You're an award-winning author, speaker, Grammy-nominated recording artist who's been featured by the Wall Street Journal, Grammy.com, Yoga Journal, Billboard.com, The Roots. I mean, oh my God, it goes on and on. You have a brand new book called Stay Woke, and over a decade of teaching. You're just like, you're not afraid to just put yourself out there. So talk to us about, what does it mean to explore transformation, and how do you break that down into smaller pieces?
Oh, well, thank you. I need to have you following me around everywhere that I go to introduce me. So no, I think, the first thing that I'll share that's really important, that I think puts this in frame and puts this in a little bit of context for everybody is, so you said in the beginning of my bio, I grew up in a home with gunshot holes outside my house in the Bay Area in Northern California, in a town just, 20 minutes east or so of Oakland. And there was a lot of amazing things about the neighborhood that I grew up in, and the town that I grew up in, and the family that I grew up in, and also a lot of challenges. And we all have these things, no matter where we grew up, no matter what family we grew up in, no matter how much we had or didn't have, we all have. Can you raise your hand if you've had to overcome some conditioning from your childhood, right? And how you grew up, regardless of how it was, right? And so the reason I share that is because my adaptation to growing up in that environment was an adaptation that I think some of you will relate to. And it wasn't to be constantly getting in trouble or to join a gang or to do any of these kinds of things. It was to become what I call a chronic overachiever. Anyone? Thinking if I just do enough, accomplish enough, succeed enough, achieve enough, then I will finally maybe be fill in the blank, happy, loved, whatever it is. And I just got lucky enough, y'all. The reason I'm here at the age that I am now, I'm 35 for the record, for people who want to know how old I actually am. So the reason I'm here at this time, at this age, with the experience and being invited into MEA, this will be my 5th time teaching at MEA, is because of this one thing. When I got to UCLA, where I went to college, when I was a kid, that was like my dream. Like, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to get a scholarship. I'm going to go to UCLA. And now I've accomplished all these things. I got straight A's. Now I'm going to be happy. I get there and I was miserable. And I was shocked. How could it be possible that I've accomplished every single thing that I've said I wanted to accomplish in my life, and I'm not happy? And so that led me on a pathway after I went to a therapist when I was 18. And that therapist said to me, it looks like you've been trying to find your happiness outside of yourself. And it's about time you learn to look for it within. Now, this is very commonplace language now, but 17 years ago, or however many years ago now at this point, like before the iPhone came out, I didn't hear this. I never, ever heard these words, finding your happiness within. I was like, within what? Where? And so he introduced me to this world of personal growth and the world of mindfulness and the world of meditation, and said, this is how you access that place within yourself. And so I'm sharing all of that with you because we have all done this. How many of us have been in a relationship, got out of that relationship because we realized it wasn't good for us anymore, got into a whole new relationship with a different person and realized we're in the same damn relationship, but just with a different person? Changed our job, got a different job, soon realized we're in the same circumstance, same job, but at a different company, right? And so what I learned at an early age, and because I just became so devoted to this, I think as an overachiever, was that, and it sounds cliche, but it is the most true thing, transformation starts inside. If you don't transform who you are being, you can't show up to any relationship differently. And so the last thing that I'll say here is, people focus a lot on change. Change. I don't care about change. It's not a bad thing, but change is, you change your clothes, you change your job, you change your relationship, you change your city, you change your house. Guess what? Wherever you go, there you are. And so transformation is a deeper job. It's how am I changing who I am being that is impacting the outcome of everything that I'm doing. And in this way, you don't have to move, maybe. You don't have to change the relationship, maybe. It may just be how you are showing up that is impact the outcome of what you're doing. So this is what I love focusing on this work of transformation because it's really how I've seen people have miracles unfold in their lives.
Oh, for sure. And teaching here at MEA, I know you've seen that personally with students that have come through. Justin's featured in our online program. And you and I had a great conversation about your perception. So many folks at this stage of life, whether you're 35, 45, 55, 65, 75, feel like there's certain times in life when you're hitting a crossroads. There's some kind of crossroads in your life, internally, in a relationship, with your health, with moving, with your career. And those are scary times. And you're right, that's not just the external change, but it's the internal transition that we're going through. And it's really a fundamental topic that we come back around to over and over again as part of a modern elder wisdom school. And you have a unique take on that. So I'd just love to hear you break down how you have really looked at transitions in your life and how you can help us think about them differently.
Yeah, of course. No, I mean, and this is this is a really hot button word right now, which when we created this course was not as like big of a deal to say as it is in this moment in 2023. But, two things that I'll share. One, when we look at the root of these words, transform and transition, right? We're looking at, and I'm a total neuroscience, psychoeducation, linguistics geek. So y'all will, I love to know what's really going on inside that makes this stuff work for us. And trans, a lot of people don't know what that word actually means. Trans. Can anybody type in the chat box what you think? Don't look it up and cheat.
Yeah, no cheating. We're going to tell. What do you think it means? Do it.
Share with us in here. I just want to hear what some of you think. Just guess.
Okay, let's see what we get. Across.
To move. Through. New state. Bridge. Cross. Lisa. Great. Maria. Lynn. Movement of some kind across. Great. Within. Renee. Okay, these are all really good. Let me give you the definition that comes from the root of where this word comes from. It's phenomenal. So trans means to go beyond. To go beyond. To go.
Leslie, pop that in there. To go beyond.
To go beyond. And so when we look at the rest of these words, right? Formare, which is the Latin root of this word. Formare means to form, to give life to. So when we're looking at transform, we're asking ourselves, what are we going beyond that is giving life to something new? And transition, get ready for this one, comes from the root transire in this Latin root. And this ire means, get ready for this, to pass away. Do y'all feel that?
Love that.
To pass away. So transition actually means, what are we going beyond? But what happens in the going beyond is that something has to be let go of and grieved and released. And I think this is why a lot of us focus so much on change instead of transformation. Because when we want to transform something, even if it's something that is quote unquote negative in our lives, we have to grieve what was. Because you can't go back to what was anymore. And that's hard for us to face. But we can't go beyond until we've actually come into that grieving piece. And this happens, I'm just going to say, at many ages. And, you know, the age thing, those of you who've been to MEA know that we play with this age and mentoring. But I just say, you know, when anybody comes to me, it's like, oh, but you're so young. I said, how many people do you know who are 60 years old who have been stuck at 21? Spiritually, mentally, right? So the physical age at this point, when we're working in a transformative space, has very little to do with anything, right? So
it's so true. You know, nobody likes being called a modern elder, but
yeah,
yet
I do.
You're a modern elder, exactly. Someone could be 18 years old and taking care of their little brother and sister or volunteering. That's a modern elder. It is about sharing wisdom.
Can I add one quick thing that just came in the chat box, and I'll be very quick about this, is what I want you to honor, and Nathan said it so perfectly. Real transition and transformation provokes fear. That is a part of the process. It calls up fear in us because of the grieving of what we have to let go of. And so to be able to step past it actually requires us to honor this fear in a big, real way. You know, to step into and go beyond the circumstances that we're in now. And so anyway, that's some of the work, you know, just a little bit, you know, of the work.
Just a little bit. And, you know, it's true that it's scary to really transition, to transform into something else. And it's so much easier when you have support and when you have other people, we call it the intimate strangers, right? That you get to talk to people online at MEA that you don't really know, but yet they know the deepest, darkest things about each other. And you realize you're not alone and we're all going through it. And Justin, you are such an amazing ambassador. Thank you so much for that.
To be there with y'all very soon. It's going to be so fun. I can't wait to get on my flight there. Like, so
I know, it's going to be so good. Shelby, just pop in Justin's week if you haven't grabbed that yet, so you could kind of check out your calendar. Get yourselves down there. We're not sold out yet, but I'm sure we will. And moving on. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Justin. All right. I am also a serious Kathy Smith fangirl. I was telling Kathy in the green room before we started, I'm 56, and in the 80s, I wanted to be Kathy Smith. I wanted to look like her. And I never worked out. Okay. I was not a jock. I was a 6'1" scarecrow. And I bought my very first cool exercise outfit to go to the gym. It was electric blue tights, and it was like a colorful onesie thing with like the high hip bone thing. And I walked in the gym with no idea how to use any equipment. And I remember that day still to this day. And so you are an icon. You have inspired so many of us to pay attention to our bodies and to be healthy. And I love that you are carrying this message all the way through. You're continuing to inspire us through your work around menopause and to be fit after 40. And you are an inspiration in so many ways. And you have been down to Baja. You've enjoyed it as a participant. You are coming back as a teacher. So you have every angle to share. If you guys don't know Kathy, besides my fangirl story, Forbes calls Kathy Smith a fitness titan for a good reason. With her iconic library of exercise videos, Kathy has stood at the forefront of the fitness and wellness industries for more than 30 years. And with her highly acclaimed podcast and all-in-one workout app, Kathy remains at the cutting edge of a business that she helped to pioneer. You are the daughter of an Air Force pilot. You grew up in Brazil, Alabama, Hawaii, Texas, and Illinois before finally settling in LA in the mid-70s. And you explored your passion as a runner and then attended your first fitness classes alongside Jane Fonda. Come on, and then began making it your own. So I'm excited to just chat with you today about how it feels to be here now. Like, what are the things that you're thinking about? What's getting you out of bed in the morning?
Well, one thing that's getting me out of bed in the morning is a month ago, I have a new grandson. So that's an exciting, but I don't think that's what you meant. First of all.
Yes, it totally is. That is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's really River Grace is his name. But first of all, trying to picture you back in your leotards, that's a good visual, 6'1". So thank you for that. And yeah, raised in the military. I wouldn't mind. There's two things that I have that I'd like to maybe jump into. One is just jumping into what you said, being raised in the military. We traveled around the world. And the reason why I want to bring that up is because so many people think about fitness as it relates to their bodies. I happened to join into this journey of fitness because of something that happened to me. So when I was 17, my dad was killed he had a heart attack. And then 2 years later, my mom was killed in a plane crash. So within a short period of time, by the time I was 19 years old, I was orphaned. And this, as you mentioned, was the 70s. So it was sex, drugs, rock and roll. It was Vietnam. It was women's rights, civil rights, you name it. We were in the middle of it. And I was very involved with all those movements. So here I am, 19, 20, 21 years old, and kind of spiraling at first into a bit of a depression. Well, what am I going to do with my life? How am I going to go on without parents? I did not come from money. I was in military families. It was a military family. So I had enough money for a college education. But that's when I had a boyfriend at the time who in college was on the football team. And I would go to the track and run a lap, not because I wanted to get in shape or whatever, but I just didn't want to be alone because it was so scary. I was in such a deep hole. And I would come back from these, I would link these laps together and eventually ran half mile, a little further. And I would come back from these runs and I would notice that my mind had shifted. That the gloom and doom was disappearing, that I could go to classes and I could focus. And this is 40 some years ago now. And actually, what am I saying? We're talking 50 years ago now. So 50 years ago, this is when women were not even doing sports at the time. This is a time when Boston Marathon, which was run today, women were not allowed in the Boston Marathon at that point. My girlfriend, Catherine Switzer, tried to run it in 1975, and they tried to pull her out. So it was a different time. People weren't there wasn't a gym on every corner. So this was a new thing. And what I learned, and I thought in my gut and in my soul, I knew there was something to this because it saved my life. And then it became my passion to sort of share this. Then, as you mentioned, I moved to LA. I got into, I had run my first marathon in 1975. And I was in the dance world, I was in the music world, and I combined my love of dance and aerobics and everything and created this class, which just then obviously became the next, that first wave of what is aerobics. So that's the one thing I want to qualify, that so many people think about movement and exercise when it comes to your body is all about looking good as opposed to feeling good. And now let's fast forward 50 years later, and starting about, every decade now, but starting in the last 10 years, I've seen more and more and more research come by that every single part of your body, from your brain, the number one thing that prevents Alzheimer's, exercise. When it comes to I have a podcast that I do every single week, and we interview doctors. And when it comes to COVID, the people that end up in the ICU rooms, more likely through a research study at Kaiser with 60,000 people were people that moved. So my passion from back then to now is helping people to step into their bodies, whatever they look like, whatever age you are, and start to realize this is your home. And it's got to last you for the rest of your life. You get one and done. You do not get to, buy another one. So how to take care of it. But I do want to jump over now. I know I talk a lot and talk quickly, but I have so much to say. But Justin said something that really resonated. And this is about transformation. And he talked about grieving. And one of the things that I believe in is that if we're going to move forward when it comes to our bodies, we have to let go of what was. What did I look like in my 20s? What did I look like in my 40s? Whatever age you are now, what could I do? Oh, I can't do that anymore. And you kind of have to start to grieve that a bit, to really open space up, to move on to what can you do? And that's what this workshop is really all about. It's about the possibilities. What is possible? And I'm telling you, with all of the technology we have right now, I don't mean digitals. I mean, I'm just meaning what we've learned about how you can use your physical body throughout the day, not just in the exercise class, but right now, while I'm sitting here, I'm doing something called head ramping. And head ramping is where you imagine you have a string at the top of your head that's pulling you up.
Wait, I want to do it.
And then, but now that's not that's only part of it. Now you take it as if you're pushing your head into a wall, but you don't tip up, you just push it back a little bit. So it's up and back. And that head ramping really is something that throughout the day when you're eating or when I'm talking to you right now, or when you're in a grocery store line, that you can practice, because it then helps to, our world is set up for all of this type of stuff. It's set up for texting and emailing and looking down and looking at your iPhone. And as we do that, that sets all the whole spinal cord and all the vertebrae up for dysfunction, for pain, for neck pain, for lower back pain, for middle back pain. So there's little things that I'm really excited about, because that's what I do all the time, is teach people how to go to the gym, how to improve your VO2 uptake, how to do HIIT training, how to strengthen your muscles. But more importantly, it's how do you learn to do things in the 23 hours that you're not perhaps working out. And that's even when you're sleeping. There's so much so many new studies of like, what are the perfect sleep shapes or the good sleep shapes so that you're expanding your rib cage and your breath and everything. And yes, so I'm really excited about this next stage of life, and whatever that is for most people. I know that, and for most women, when they hit mid 40s, perimenopausal, you mentioned menopause, I happened to write a book called Moving Through Menopause and do a video, and I was on the Oprah show as we were talking about for that. And Oprah was going through menopause at the time, and it's a time in women's life, especially. There's also something in men's life by this called testopause. So it's same thing.
Is it testopause? Chip calls it andropause. We're going to have to clarify that.
Yeah, they're both. I mean, but the idea is that your hormones are dropping. And so that's one of the things we'll talk about in the workshop. It's like hormones are dropping, but there's some natural ways without drugs to increase hormones, and especially human growth hormone. But yeah, the hormones start to drop, and that affects your brain. It affects your skin. It affects your vitality. So I'm very much into vitality and helping people find their peak vitality, whatever age, whatever body shape. And we're letting go of body shapes. I'm more into function. What can your body do?
Yes.
How do
we all love that? Let go of that body image at this stage, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just this idea of we call it body neutrality. And body neutrality is, what can your body do as opposed to how does it look? And when you get into body neutrality, like I happen to be fortunate, I live in Park City, but I just ran into a girlfriend and like, oh, what are you doing today? Oh, I'm going for a bike ride. And well, what about you? I just got back from a run along the Jordanelle, or I'm taking my kids out to the park and we're going, whatever it might be, the adventures, whatever you want to do. And that's what I don't want to put any limits on. This is all about, it's all very personalized. Maybe you want to travel and go to San Francisco and walk all the streets up and down and have tons of vitality. But the idea is finding that vitality in your body. And a lot of it starts in the brain and in your brain. And how do you start letting go of old mindsets, the old mindset of what you can't do. Like the one thing I will tell you, I see as people age, their worlds start to shrink. And part of the reason why their world starts shrinking is they start saying, I can't do that anymore. I have a bad knee, so I can't go for those walks. I can't do that anymore. That doesn't feel right. I'm afraid to do that. My balance isn't very good. And as all of those things start to stack up, your world gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And I'm here to expand your world and maybe even whoever's workshop you join, there's something that they do in Baja, and that's get on a surfboard. And perhaps that's, a challenge, whether you are paddling or kneeling or standing, but it's really just stepping outside your comfort zone so that you can enjoy all the wonderful adventures the world has to offer. And also the giving side. I mean, I was reading the New York Times this morning. There's this great, from the Divinity School, this great book called basically Finding Purpose, finding purpose in life. And the two, they were on the Today Show last week, and the book shot up to the top of Amazon, #1 on Amazon. And kind of the point of the story was people are looking for purpose. I mean, this is the thing. They were looking for purpose in life. And I'm just here to say that part of whatever your purpose is, whether it's volunteering, and Ukrainian refugee camps or saving the world from climate change, no matter whether you're young, middle-aged, whatever age you want to, you are, having a body that will support everything you want to do is truly, truly magical. So that's what I'm here to.
Kathy, you are a living blue zone. I think that we need to have, Dan Buettner rewrite the book so that we have all these places in the world. And then we have Kathy Smith. She is a blue zone. She will inspire you. You've got me inspired. I'm like, what am I doing? I got to go exercise, go outside. So I love that you're helping us reframe vitality as a word that we can aspire to and we can lean into. You're amazing. Guys, pop Kathy's website in there, Kathy's week in there. It's going to be so fantastic. And thank you for teaching. We're just thrilled to have you.
Oh, and I cannot wait. I happen to be going to Madrid in May. So I'm like chomping at the bit to get on that plane and get down to Baja in June. So looking forward to it.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. Thank you so much, Kathy. Well, moving on to Steven Cardinale, my husband. Those of you who have been to MEA may know a little story, a little legend of MEA that Steven and I in 2018 went to MEA during the beta period. We met each other. Our cohort loved each other, just like many cohorts do. Met on Zoom, met on WhatsApp, became amazing friends. Steven and I began doing entrepreneur projects together, became good friends, and then realized later that we were in love with each other, that we were the person we'd been waiting for our entire life, and came together and found one another. And how lucky am I to this day to have you and Chip Conley officiated our wedding ceremony last August. And I love you, honey. I'm so happy you agreed to say yes. Steven has agreed to come and teach at MEA, and you have a beautiful book that is called Synaptic Alchemy, the art and science of turning ideas into gold. And you're going to talk about that, but let's talk about you. Steven is an incredibly successful entrepreneur. He's a data software, an analyst. He is a businessman. He is a incredible master at leveraging things. He's a trendsetter. Now let's talk about how you started out in your life as well, like the other two guests here, from pretty humble beginnings, and you crafted a dream for yourself, and you kind of made your life like an alchemist, even in college. So I'd love to have you tell us a little bit about how you kind of were an alchemist natively and intuitively early on.
Yeah, I'd love to. So a big piece of, I think, what we're going to talk about at our week is it's, entrepreneurship at any age. But the reality is, as I started to grow up and I started to go through business, and sometimes business is boring and nobody cares, of course, but everybody cares because that's what we do like 8 to 10 hours a day of our lives. I started to realize that business is as much about transformation, and it's exactly what Justin talked about and what Kathy talked about, as it is about creating value for other people. And as I started to grow up, I realized that creativity, which is what I believe MEA and every single person in this group has, is a defining factor, a defining part of who you are. And it's a defining part of entrepreneurship, which means it's a defining part of alchemy. And as I started to grow up, and as I started to go through and started to realize, so I was at UCLA. So Justin, I'm a UCLA brat as well. Yeah, yay UCLA. And as I was going through school, I had to do things like I had a choice between flipping burgers to make money because I had no money to get through school, or I could go and play chess and try to essentially hustle chess games for how I made my living while I was in school. And thinking about as an entrepreneur, that was kind of one of the things that I started with, which was, how do I turn something that is average, I have a skill, who cares, into something that's golden? And that's certainly part of when I started to think about alchemy. And everybody thinks about alchemy, and we think, if you guys know alchemy, it's Merlin, it's sorcerers, it's crazy kind of stuff. But alchemy really is not just transformation, but transmutation. And it comes from, and Justin, I'm as much of a word geek, I think, as you are. So alchemy comes from, it really comes from an Egyptian root, which is chemi, which is the root of chemistry, which really means kind of coming from black earth, if you start going back to Pharaoh's time. And it really means converting what you have in your body, in your soul, in who you are, from a common element, which would be lead, if you think about alchemy in terms of, turning lead into gold, something that's amazing. And that's what all entrepreneurs do. And that's what all people do who are successful. So it's really interesting how you transmutate. You turn what you have into something brilliant. You polish your pearls of wisdom, or you polish your philosopher's stone. You turn what you have into gold. And thinking in this way helped me when I was starting my last company. So although we're going to talk about entrepreneurship and we're going to talk about business at our week, we're really not. We're really talking about converting who you are into who you want to be. And whether that's relationships, or as Kathy's talking about physicality, or as I'm going to talk about with business, or we're going to talk about with money, how do you convert what you have into how to make something more beautiful, more brilliant as you go through life? That's what we're going to kind of discuss.
All right, who says this? Look the way I look at you. Okay, I know. I can't help it. Do I have little doe eyes when I look at? That's a good sign.
That's a great
one
sign.
of the beautiful things that we discovered in a marriage in midlife is how much gold there can be found, and how much healing and transformation can be found in relationships. And I think that one thing I've seen you do over and over again is to inspire people to consider using the talents that they have to move forward in life, whatever that is. So those who are at a professional crossroads, people have said, can I come to Steven's Week if I'm retired? Yes, I'm sure you can share that. Yes, wherever you are in your professional career, you're working in a job, you are in between jobs, you are retired. or you have a vision, you have a purpose, you have some kind of fantastic thing you'd like to do at some point, whether it's be the best grandma, Kathy Smith. Can you imagine Kathy Smith as your grandma? I mean, what? Come on. Or Justin as your uncle. But what would you say to those who are, you know, in the second adulthood, who may be thinking that those years have passed me by? How would you describe your vision?
Stop is exactly what I would say. Those years haven't passed you by. And there are formulas, there's way. So it's very interesting. And I believe that both Justin and Kathy will agree with this. There are mind frames, you know, kind of the ways that you think. And there are patterns that you can break, and there are ways that you can change how you think, and it will change who you will become in the next 1, 2, 5, or 10 years. Does it have to do with money? Maybe. Does it have to do with being the best grandma? Maybe. Does it have to be becoming a Grammy-nominated singer? Absolutely, right? It is, I think that when we think about who we want to be, we get really scared, because if you're creative, which all MEA people are, who you want to be can be so much further than where you are, but you know you can get there. And you can mutate, you can transform, you can take lead into gold, you can take what you have and turn it into what you want to be with a very few set of steps. And business allows you to do it, but so does almost everything else. You know? And I think and Kari, you'll know these statistics better than I will, but the number of people over 70 who start businesses who are successful is much higher than the number of people who start businesses who are 25. And you hear about those because we have this fantastic kind of romance with the entrepreneur, and you hear about, you know, Steve Jobs, and you hear about all these guys, and they become almost our royalty. Just like the UK has royalty, we've got, you know, icons who are royalty to us. But the reality is that's a very small piece. Every single person on this call, if you decide to, can turn what you have into gold. And whether that's related to money or career, and it has nothing to do with where you are, because you can have the alchemy of your career, you can have the alchemy of your relationship, you can have the alchemy of money, you can have the alchemy of where you're going to be. I just want everyone here to turn whatever they have and wherever they want to go into gold. And I don't care whether you are looking to start a business or not. Get to my week.
I love that. So put it in the chat. What do you want to turn into gold, everybody? Yeah. Let's see. Pop it in the chat. And that little statistic was that 70% of businesses that have succeeded in the past few years were started by someone over 50. Can you believe that? Okay, so what do you guys want to turn into gold? Pop it in the chat. Is it grandbabies? Is it a book? Is it your body? Is it a meditation practice?
Is it a new business? Is it a new passion? Oh, I like that. Okay. There's a Broadway play. Oh, I'm so interested in that one. So one of the quotes that I say that I think is really important is, you can have any life you want. You just have to decide. It's the decide part that's hard. Because once you really have decided, your behaviors and everything you do have to start aligning. So if you believe that you want to be the best, or you want to create a Broadway musical, and you really have decided that, then you will turn what you have as your creativity into a Broadway musical. The universe will not stop you. If you haven't read the book, The Alchemist, you need to read the book, The Alchemist. It's a fantastic book. And once you've made a decision, the universe will conspire to help you get there. And that's what alchemy is all about. And even though we talked about it in terms of business and those pieces, like I said, it's profession, it's personal, it's entrepreneurship, it's starting the business that you don't think you can. By the way, every single one of you can start a business tomorrow that will change and Kathy did it, and Justin has done it, and everybody can and has it in them to do it. You can have any life you want, you just have to decide. So decide.
There we go. So decide. So where are you going to stay at MEA for a month? I know. How do you possibly pick? We have time for questions, which is fun. You can come up on stage here. So that means pushing the raise your hand button down there in the reactions. We can take a few of you. Anything, a comment. Were you inspired? Was something spark for you? We call it aha moments. Do you have a question? Raise your hand, pop it in there. And it can be for any of the three. David wants to be a stand-up comedian. Okay, I love that. Okay, don't be shy. Let's get some hands going here. Who wants to come up and chat?
There's a woman named Maria, like waving her physical hand.
Okay, Maria.
Maria
Can you,
Cunningham.
Leslie, find Maria and pop her in the gallery view? Okay, there we go.
Mute. Okay. Hi.
She popped away from the gallery. Wait, she was spotlighted and now she's gone.
Where'd she go? There you are, Maria.
Maria from Santa Barbara, who is formerly from Marin County, who's known Chip since he was a tadpole.
Oh,
Oh my
Way
God.
back at Joie de Vie, and we have intersected back and forth. He is one of the most, and this is such an overused word, authentic men or person that I've ever met. And I haven't been to MEA, so.
Well, great. It may be time. Chip, this is the vision that he's had, is to create a movement of modern elders.
I know he's done it well. How does the week work? So you've kind of giving me a smorgasbord. What does a week look like? What do you bring to it in your thoughts and ideas? What do you work on there? What happens?
Ooh, it's a great question. Everybody, you can all help me here as we chat. So when you come to MEA, it's kind of like, Hogwarts and Fast Time at Ridgemont High, all shaken up in a tequila shaker. It's a place that you have everything taken care of for you. Chip is known for his hospitality. The place is spectacularly beautiful. It is on the beach in Baja. You will see whales out in the water. The food is 5-star. You don't have to think about any of those things. And you get to have a really spacious schedule. Every day there is a level of meditation, there is mindfulness, there's classroom time, you connect with your fellow compadres. There are surprises throughout the week, some really fun things that you get to do together. And so most people, they sort of unwind as the week goes on. Your life is far away, you have a chance to relax, and you start connecting with these other folks with these beautiful conversations. Justin, Kathy, Steven, toss in anything else you might want to share about what it's like to be there.
I'll just say really quick, what happens, is you have some classroom time that's not overwhelming. I mean, it's great that takes you through a curriculum that's a similar curriculum for each cohort, but then the special guests like me or Kathy or Steven, we come in and we shape it to fit the kind of topic that we're talking about with the kind of MEA standard curriculum, which is phenomenal.
Okay.
The curriculum at MEA is so phenomenal. It's amazing. And what I'll tell you that's really powerful is the time in the classroom is so big because it's where all these ideas and all these concepts really come up. And then you have that week where you have spaciousness, where you don't have to worry about anything. The hospitality is 10-star, and so where you don't have to worry about anything, you now can relax and really let yourself dream and open up into what it is that you want. And so anyway, that's what I'll share about it and why I love going so much.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Is my mute off? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that question, Maria. And just to get very practical, because my friends ask me all the time that same question. And, on a real practical, like day by day, for my workshop, and everyone's a little different, but as depending who the guest is, but in general, I'm presenting with a woman named Janice Spivak, and you start
Who's
out
here?
What?
Janice is here with us.
Is she here?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Hey, Janice. I can't wait to see
Bring her on up, Leslie. Bring Janice up.
Oh, I love. Okay, so while we're waiting for Janice
It's
to
like the dream team.
Okay, so
I can go on.
So imagine getting up and you're going to have, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, different, everything's different every day, but you're going to be able to get up and go see Teddy, who's in the yoga studio. And Teddy is the most amazing yogi because he comes out of a complete different background, not like any yogi you've ever seen before. Beautiful new yoga studio. And you go and there's going to be sometimes a sound bath. Sometimes there's going to be some meditation in the morning. In my week, I'm going to be taking you on walks on the beach to do awe walks and hit walks and different types of walks. But then, Janice is there. She is. Hey, darling. It is, think about it through. We come into the classroom, as Justin said, and there's a bit of like letting go, meeting, understanding everybody, but understanding yourself and letting go of some of the things that just aren't serving you anymore. That was the biggest transformation I had. Like, what are the things that are holding you back from being an entrepreneur, being a musician, transforming yourself? And then a little bit of time is spent looking at that. And then for my particular week, we have all sorts of things planned for you that will, again, tap you in and tune you into a vibration in your body so that we can develop a wellness formula for you. So when you leave, you will have something, I call it news you can use. I'm really not. I've been on the planet too long. I hate when people just present the problem or use simple words like wellness or even sometimes transformation, as much as it's like, what can I do when I leave, this workshop, and how am I going to be able to take whatever I've learned there and really go into the transformation of my life? And so that happens in that week. And it's really, as Justin says, you might be making bread, you might be working, Janice might be taking you through an exercise that has to do with awareness. But anyway, every day is a little different, and it's going to be unique for each of us, but there's a theme through all of these about transforming your life.
Yes, it is. And Janice, so glad you're here. You're going to be teaching with Kathy about just 1 minute. Anything else you want to talk about that, as a long-standing master teacher at MEA, for those who've never been?
What's special about MEA, and by the way, Kathy is extraordinary. I can't wait to be with her. I think we've only had 2 conversations and I'm already doing the exercises that she taught me when we met. Justin, Steven, I'm such a fan. And I think that really the biggest reason you should go is that when you are there, you are in a sanctuary. It is extraordinary. You are in a sanctuary, you are held. And so everything falls away and you're able to absorb the beautiful lessons that you're brought. Because that's really a lot of times what gets in our way, right? We're so distracted, we have so much. And the team and Chip have created a place, and I highly encourage you, if you're on the edge, take that step and go. Because you will be held.
Yes, you will be held. Thank you. I'm going to take all of us off of Spotlight for a second so that you can see, you can help me, Leslie. We're all coming off of Spotlight. Everybody go on the gallery view so you can see each other. This is the other pretty cool thing about MEA, is there's some really amazing people who are part of this community. So now we're all off. She should be on the gallery view. Turn on your cameras, everybody. We don't care if your hair's combed or you have a dirty t-shirt on or your house is messy. We don't care. That's how we show up at MEA, is from the inside out. You could very well be meeting your best friends on this call at some point in your life. I swear to God. So everyone who has never been to MEA before, who would like to go to MEA, please put a heart emoji up in that reactions button. Heart emoji. This is and I'm going to get to you, Joan, in a second here, but I got to do this part. Heart emoji. All of you who have never been to MEA before would love to go. Pop it in there. Connor, the super Connor man is going to grab keep them up. If your heart went away, do it again. Get your hearts going. Okay, Summer, do it in the chat. Connor, you got your work cut out for you here, my love. So we're going to capture all those hearts. Maria spelled it out, which is totally fine. Love it. On your screen, on the chat. You are all now contestants for a free week at MEA. Come on now. Amazing. So we're going to assemble all of you who are voting here. And then we will let you know after this call who the winner is. It's amazing. So excited. So pop in those hearts. I'm going to go bring you up, Joan. And
how are they finding out, Kari? Or is it via email? Is that how you're
Yes, we are going to email the answer to everybody. Leslie, help me bring everybody back on up. And hi, Joan. Joan is the queen. Okay. How much do we love Joan? She did the online program while she was at Baja. She moved from Florida to be closer to her son after going through these classes, realizing what was important to you. You've been an amazing alumni ambassador. So I just wanted to love you up. And we only have 3 minutes left. So tell us your question.
Okay, so I wanted to say to Kathy, like, we live in this society that is so focused on the physical. And I just loved everything you said, because you're just like so much about the whole person. And part of what I love about MEA is like aging well. Like, I did go to Baja for the Body Wisdom for Aging with Tom McCook, and I was at Baja for somebody else, and I ended up in India at a yoga retreat because one of my cohorts was a yoga instructor and I had to take her class. But I just wanted to say thank you for, like, especially at my age, our culture is not for women, my age. And yet there's so much I want to do and be healthy for. So it's like my goals, and it is a physical, it has to be physical. I have to get that suitcase up in that airplane, keep doing.
Yes.
So you guys are just so inspiring. So that's what I wanted to say. You're all very inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. Brenda, you're going to squeeze you in. You get to have the last word.
Wow. I just returned from MEA with Chip and Dan Butner of the Blue Zones. Had the most amazing time. And then listening to the 3 new guests between Justin, Steven, and Kathy, I'm amazed at how everything ties together and how badly I want to come back, because each of your topics tie beautifully with what I've already learned. And then for anyone who has not been there before, everything that was described, the people, the place, how transformative it is. And oh, by the way, you allow yourself to grieve and cry and be real if you need and want to, and if you're ready for that. And if you're not, but that whole transformation happens there from beginning to launching you back into reality in a beautiful way that's really held. So if you haven't been, please go, and I will be back. So thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
And thank you 3. You're all extraordinary gifts, and we're so blessed at MEA to have you on, behalf of Chip and Jeff and Christine and the entire team. Thank you for coming for the week. We're all so excited. And thank you guys for being here today. We'll play the recording on our YouTube channel. You can see all of our other live events and talks that we've been doing. We will be emailing a follow-up to everybody. And those of you who popped your hearts in, we're going to get back in touch and let you know who the lucky winner was. Leslie, do you have a song to take us out with? And you guys can sing along and take yourselves off of mute and sing with Justin. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Nice dancing there, Hope. I love my dancers. Bye, everyone.